Hey, it's Holly. Welcome back. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm so excited to be back. I am grateful for the break, though. It was good to have some time off and catch up on the other things that are going on in my life. So that's great. But I am glad to be back and back to this community. I have missed you all. Today we are going to start off the new year by introducing one of my newer hobbies that I've picked up, and that is stained glass. So I decided, why don't we start from the beginning and plan a project together. So we're going to plan our first Polly Pocket stained glass project together. Really excited about this one. So I'll show you the tools that I'm using to plan, and then we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to be starting a pattern for the Polly Pocket stained glass I want to do. And I decided, as you can see here, that I wanted to take some of that keepsake collection art and try to make it into stained glass. So I thought, what better to start with than these two mermaids from the Mermaid Dream set. Now, stained glass can be a bit complicated if you don't have a special saw. Which I don't have because they're like $1,000. So I don't have a saw. I have a bunch of other equipment, but that means that some of these cuts that we make for the stained glass may ultimately need to be adjusted. And I'm fairly new to this hobby, so I make mistakes along the way, but we'll trace these as best we can and then go from there. So what I've done is I'm in Procreate on my iPad, and I'm just going to try to trace this out as best I can. And then we will have a pattern, which in my next video we can try to pair up some glass and then cut and go from there. So again, wanted to do these Mermaid Dream mermaids. I think they're super cute, and I love both of them. So why not do both? I'm going to start with the Polly, and we'll do the second one as well. But I think I've got most of what I need for this Polly. I may need to get some glass to match her skin a little bit better, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I'm using my Apple pencil for this. And it doesn't need to be perfect, although I will say my pencil is acting up a little bit there. So I typically will set up a layer where I have a picture that's on transparency, and I knock it right down, and then I do my line drawing over top. Some of these curves may be hard to achieve, but we'll do the best we can when we get to that stage. This part could be quite challenging. Here is what I'm looking at. Now, for some of these details inside, we will have to use a bit of some solder to be creative with it. It's the best way I could describe it. Because some of these angles are nearly impossible to create without a saw. And I don't love what I did there, so we're going to do that again. This is where those perfectionist tendencies sometimes come back to haunt you. Okay, so looking at this part down here by the tail, this part could be a bit challenging to do just because of those angles. So when I cut them, it is possible to get an inside curve, but the circle diameter that I'm working with is about, I would say, probably 1.5 centimeters, so like 3/4 of an inch, I would say, ish. And so when you're dealing with that size, it can make things a bit challenging. This will make more sense when we get to that stage, but some of this stuff I'm just looking at it thinking this will be challenging. Okay, so for the same thing here, this part in the inside will be difficult to do, so I will likely have to put more cuts somewhere in here. We'll get her traced out and then we will figure out how that's going to work. Sorry, bear with me. It's always not like this will really matter at the end of the day, but okay. Get her hair in here. I think it's my sweater that was messing up the pencil there. I'm just using an Apple Pencil on my iPad here. Like that there is going to be nearly impossible. But we'll get it traced out first. There she is. So as I've gotten into this stained glass hobby, I will say it's been pretty fun. Just trying to figure out how my iPad works. I haven't done a lot of drawing on my iPad before, so nor would I say that I'm particularly good at drawing, but it is a useful tool for tracing. It's just me being obsessive. Okay, so there's Polly. Now that's one of them. I'm going to make a separate layer for the other one, just so we can play with them independently. Oops. That's weird. My pencil was acting up there. Pretty sure it's charged. But it is kind of acting up. Good. Okay. Right, almost there with her. This could drive me nuts. No, oh my gosh. She's got okay. All right, so we've got them traced. So if we turn off the background layer there, we can see the work we did. Hey, look at that, not too bad. Now the thing is, it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just literally wiping hair off my screen, making lines, even though we like it to be. But what we're ultimately going to do with this is just be making a pattern. So once it gets to the glass stage, it's not going to be perfect anyway. So I'm just going to temporarily turn this back on. We can try to find some colors here. So let's see. Okay, so oops. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate these and I'm going to lock one of them just so we have a copy and then hide them. So we'll start with this one here. I'm just going to color her in. Her hair was pretty dark. Use that color for the eyes as well. I will say, if I'm making anyone upset with my drawing, I don't know what I'm doing, so whoops. I'm just learning as I go, so sorry if I'm using this app all wrong. Probably should have colored this in before I drew the lines, but that would not work for the pattern, unfortunately. So here we are. Whoops. Let me zoom in a bit. Okay, she's done. We're gonna go over to the unlocked poly layer. We'll zoom in too. It does make things a bit easier. Whoops. Jinx, right? Okay. Nope. Can she fill that in? Can she do it? She did it. Okay, that was not the right color there. So for Polly's hair, it's a very light blonde color. Now, did they have the same? No, their bathing suits or bathing suits. Their accessories, the shells and whatnot, were different colors. So I am correct on that. So I'm going to borrow. This is the part that I'm not good at, is how to figure out. Oops. Turn that on. Yes. I wanted this color. Oops. Okay, all right, we zoom out, turn this off. We've got our two figures that we'll do. Okay, so now that we've got that, that's so cute, oh my gosh. We have to talk a little bit about the design flaws, and I think it's going to just be safer actually to start with the mermaid on the right. So for now, I'm going to turn off poly. And bye, poly. And we'll talk about the design flaws of this one. Okay, so I'm actually going to make another duplicate layer, and we're going to unlock this one so that we can investigate. So let me change my color here. All of this kind of stuff, like all of these details, they will have to be done with either paint or solder, and paint is probably going to be the best. Similar to this is right in the middle of this. So if we want to have this in the middle of, imagine that this is all one piece of glass, right? The hair, we're going to need to make some cuts in here. So bear with me. So that means that if we switch back to black here, we could do this, but we will need some cuts, and it will be challenging to do that. So I'm going to come back to this thought, because I will say that even if we add a cut here, these little indents will be very challenging, and I might actually just want to paint that on top. But this piece, if we come back to just using this to highlight my point, this could actually easily all be cut as one piece. Okay. Now if we grab a skin tone for her, that is easily one piece with paint for the facial features. This is a piece, this is a piece. And then the other challenge is this. So it's going to be difficult to get that, and I think what we might have to do, just to get that angle in place, it's going to be very hard. We can either cut one piece, coming back to pink, we can either cut one piece across here so that this whole middle section is one piece, and we can follow the contours, of course, but getting this little piece in here is going to be hard with the tools that I have, and would likely cause some instability here. But I feel like if we add lines there, it won't look as good, so we might just want to paint that on. So if we then instead made, pick a different color, this all as one piece with painted features. Now you can paint on glass. Typically you're going to use enamel paint to do that. So if I come back to this, what layer am I on right now? This is where we want to be. That is way too big. So if we make that one color, whoa. Okay, so you following me so far? So we have piece. 1, 2. This isn't conducive. This pen isn't conducive to writing if you write fast. 4, 5, right? Okay. And then same for the bottom. So we're just going to really, I think, to get the best result here with the tools I have, we're going to have to do a lot of this detail with paint. So now looking at this base, this is an easy piece number 6. That is simple for us to do. Okay, but this is where it's going to be challenging, because if I take a color, for example, right now, well, actually, we can make this work. So I think what we'll do is we'll try to hide, bear with me, my pencil is acting up again. I think if we try to hide the solder line in here, so come back to this, and we're just going to erase this one here. Okay. We can probably get away with doing a line there, which would give us the ability, these colors are going to look awful for a moment, but bear with me. To do a piece, a piece like this. And then a piece like this. I think this is going to be our best bet. Now, again, sorry to keep saying this because it's probably annoying. This will make a lot more sense when we get to the glass cutting stage, but I think we can do it in 8 pieces using some enamel paint. Now, something I did a few Christmases back, like 6 years ago, was I made a bunch of my friends custom beer growlers, like the large containers that you would take to a brewery and fill up with beer. So I painted them, and I used enamel paint. So it involved painting them and then baking them in the oven to harden that enamel so that you could wash it and all of that stuff. So you could do the same thing with glass. So what we could do is we can paint the glass before we solder it so that we get some of this detail on there. And that's going to allow us to get details like, here I am trying to change color and it's not working. We'd have to actually pick a different color for that to work. So details like the shell bra, the face details, which you otherwise really can't get. For me to get that, I would have to basically use solder, and to adhere tiny pieces of solder in that shape is probably not actually going to stick to the glass well enough. So it kind of needs to wrap the edge. So for that reason, that's why I think we should do all of these little details here with enamel paint. I think it's going to serve us best, and that will be our first one. So basically, that's going to be the plan. So I will take this and I'm going to take a screenshot of it, and then we will print this out, and from there we will figure out what glass will work. We'll do that in our next video and continue with the planning, but that is step 1. So here we are blending a few hobbies, but hopefully that was interesting. Again, I'm using Procreate on my iPad and Apple Pencil. I have an iPad Pro, not a fancy new one, it's a few years old. And those are my main tools for just the tracing and pattern planning. So that is step one of the process, and we'll continue in our next video. All right, so that is our plan. We'll see how it goes. So in the next video, we will have a look at glass, see if we've got everything that we need, start cutting that glass down. Once the glass is cut down, then we can look at how we're going to add those details. Again, I think enamel paint is going to be our best option, given the amount of detail that we need. Those cuts are nearly impossible to make without making it huge, as in like life size. So in order to keep it, you know, nice and small, I want it to probably be about 6 inches tall, I would say, at the end of the day. That's, I think, the best way for us to do it with the tools that I have. You can make more complicated cuts if you have a ring saw, but again, those are like $1,000, and until I'm really for sure in the hobby for a while, I think I better hold off on just buying a bunch more equipment. So that's the current plan. I'm really excited to see where this goes, and I will also share some photos of some of the stained glass projects that I made over the holidays. Well, at least 2 of them with you. One of them I made for my mom, one of them I made for my mother-in-law. One is a nightlight, and this one is meant to be moonlight in the clouds. And unfortunately, the photo doesn't pick it up very well, but the moon and the clouds, not the clouds, sorry, the dark blue glass are kind of opalescent, like iridescent quality. They're really beautiful in person. I love the glass I used on this one. And my mom's is her neighborhood. Also super proud of that one. That one has over 50 pieces in it. It took me a really long time to make that one. Definitely a labor of love, but it was worth it for my mom. So that's what I've been doing so far, and we'll see where it goes. So I hope you enjoy the process. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. It's the easiest way to support the channel. And I bring out new videos every Monday and Thursday, everything vintage Polly Pocket, all the way to creating new vintage Polly Pocket stuff. As you can see, that's really my focus. I'm also on social media. You can follow along on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Just look up Pocket Vintage Toys. That's the best place to connect with me outside of YouTube. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.